Hi everyone, my name is Madison and this is my case study on the Coal River. So the Coal River watershed encompasses approximately 891 square miles within the southwestern region of West Virginia. The Coal River is divided into two major branches from its confluence with the Kanawha River, the two major branches being the Little and Big Coal River. The joining of Spruce Fork and Pound Fork at Madison is what forms the Little Coal River, and the Big Coal River is formed by the confluence of Mark Fork and Clear Fork just south of Whiteville. When looking at the Coal River, it is primarily dominated by forest land, and the Coal River has also provided a transportation route through the mountainous terrain. This transportation route, allowed for the transfer of timber and, more importantly, coal. But with any source of transportation, there is always a byproduct that is left behind to basically imprint a footstep on the environment. Coal slurry impoundments is a byproduct found within the Coal River due to the washing of the coal to separate it from soil and the rock that surrounds it. Coal companies actually have often said that the sludge contains just mostly water and rocks and mud, but it also can contain carcinogenic chemicals that are used to process coal and the toxic heavy metals that are present within it, including and not limited to arsenic, mercury, chromium, cadmium, and selenium. These chemicals can leach from the often unlined slurry ponds into groundwater and nearby waterways, leaving neighboring communities that are dependent on well water without the access of clean water. So this impairment can lead to the list of a 303D, which is Coal River is ultimately listed under it due to the fecal coliform. And when we have a 303D, we always want to make sure that we're implementing a TMDL, which a TMDL is the total maximum daily load. This is used to restore impaired waters. So we can see that we not only have non-point sources, but as well as discrete point sources, which are both contributing to the metal, pH, and fecal coliform bacteria impairments. But we also have point sources that include permitted mining activities, stormwater, and discharge from construction that are greater than 1 acre that can also produce that coal slurry impoundment that we discussed earlier. So in order to form these TMDLs, we have methods and calculations that are used when referring to each TMDL. So when we're looking at the TMDLs that are focused on metals and pH and fecal coliform, we see that mining data systems were used, as well as dynamic equilibrium and stream chemical reaction models, fecal coliform loading estimation spreadsheets, and then when looking at the sediment TMDLs, we see that a generalized watershed loading function was used, as well as stream routing models. So this basically gives you a visualization and ultimately ends with the recommendations. So this table basically shows how much of each element should be allowed into the Coal River without affecting human health or aquatic life. So we can see human health being recreational, public water supply, or that the well water that was mentioned with the coal slurry impoundments. Aquatic life, we're wanting to make sure that we're not increasing a population or diminishing it either. So with any of these, we always want to ask the question, is that watershed healthy or is it not? So we've already discussed the 303Ds as well as the TMDLs. But when we look up here, we see a WVSCI, which is a West Virginia Stream Condition Index, which actually gave the Coal River a score of 81, which means the watershed is stable, and we can gather that by referring to their scale, which indicates a 68 or below is identified as impaired, and anything above that is stable. So we can see that we are well above that baseline of being either impaired or stable. But this still begs the question of, are we still healthy within the Coal River? And based off all the data that is being collected, I would say that the water quality of the Coal River is probably pretty poor, just due to the high fecal coliform contaminations, also all the biological data that was received. Even though the Coal River did in fact get a score of 81, I still feel like there is a lot of work that needs to be done within this river. Which leads us to the NPDESs, which are in fact permits, but NPDESs are National Pollutant Discharge Elimination Systems, and what this program generally does is address water pollution by regulating point sources that discharge pollutants to the waters of the United States. So within this, we see that there's 3 different types of permits that can be seen within the Coal River. We have stormwater industrial permits, which there's 2 of those. There's 3 construction stormwater permits, as well as 8 sewage permits. So when we're looking at the stormwater industrial permit, we see that the major contaminants are toxic fuels, metals, and chemicals. And we can see that the source of these contaminants can be from alkaline-based detergents, cleaners, exposed equipment, and even exposed metals. In order to eliminate these fuels and metals, they determined a monitoring regimen, which is to inspect the equipment weekly, secondary containment for fuel to ensure that there's no leakage or anything like that. So when looking at the construction stormwater, again, we have three of those permits, and their contaminants are pH, metals, iron, selenium, oil, and gas. The source of these can be minus drainage. So like we said before, the cleaning of that coal, the mining activity, the transportation to and from the mines to wherever it is going, can leave a lot of this. It can leave a lot of the gas and oil and the pH and metals. So something that would help this would be split fencing, sampling bi-monthly, and ultimately have some more funding in order to go to each one of these permits in monitoring and regimen, their monitoring regimen, and to have better equipment to make sure that there is no leakage, there is no runoff, etc. So we come to our biggest problem within the Coal River, which is sewage, and once again we have 8 of those permits. And as you've heard this entire presentation, its contaminants is fecal coliform. And just to reiterate where that source is coming from, it's within the inadequate treatments of sewage, the CSOs, the SOSs, gray water, raw sewage, and MS4s. And something that would help this and is in place is monthly fecal coliform grabs, inspection of the equipment. So overall, that's my presentation, and that's the Coal River. In my personal opinion, I still feel like we have a long way to go to make sure that this river is healthy and where it needs to be. These are my references of where I got all my information, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.